Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. So I have two lovely esteemed guests that are with us today. Yes, well, one lovely and one Nick. So there. But what we want to talk about today is how do you begin your own podcast? And so this is going to be a free-for-all. It's not going to be a lesson plan that we're going to check off. It's going to be us talking about the things that they need to do. So I'm encouraging both Nick and Malaysia, please ask questions and say, no, go back and let's go do this. My mindset is we go for developing our podcast. And when we develop our podcast, I want to do it as economical as possible. So I'm not about, oh, you can get a podcast started for $3,000. Yeah, let's not do that. Okay.
Okay.
I like zero down and zero a month for life. That's my favorite goal for almost everything I look to buy. Okay. So when you look at this, first thing I want you to start to think about is, what is your topic? You're going to have to come up with a topic because I want you to research how many other podcasts are out there. Okay. Now we're on the computer, we're doing this, but typically my phone is where I go look for all of it. So as I go through, I will go to whatever podcast app you use. Oh, look at that.
Hey,
Nice.
hey, shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Yeah. Oh, look, and now it's filling in. Yeah.
Of course.
Ed Milet
of course.
bumped them out right away. But if you think about somebody that resonates with you and you go, wow, I really enjoy listening to this person. I would like my podcast to be like this person. If that's the case, then you want to go click on theirs. And when you click on theirs, the actual podcast down below will suggest you other ones for them. And so now you can go look. I want you to go say, great, pick a keyword, go type it in to the podcast thing about your topic and see how many other people are on there. Now, does your podcast have to be anything more than just your mind and your thoughts? No. It could literally be the things that run through my head. Okay. It doesn't have to be, I am political, I am medical, I am only sales. Like I started mine Sales Genius. So I put it out there because the answer was, I'm always talking sales. Look, it says go sell something right there, subliminally in the background next to my Darth Vader lava lamp. But so understanding that I'm putting it out there because that's what I'm known for, and that's something that I can go after, and it would be natural fit for my audience. So before I started it, people were like, no, because of what he does for a living. Okay, so I was known as BDC Genius, which is Business Development Center Genius, which is a call center within a company that's supposed to be generating revenue. So I started, people were like, oh, you got a problem with your BDC? Call Joe, he's like the BDC Genius. And so I was like, dang, so I ran with it. And so that was like a little nickname for a while. Then I moved away from that call center environment into selling and running sales teams. And they were like, dude, you're like a genius at everything you do. And I was like, well, I'm an undercover genius. So then, and I made this shirt. Yeah. So understand, what did I do? I was like, oh, well, then I'll run with Sales Genius. And then I put it out before anybody knew I had one. Okay. So there's a lot of things we can do to cheat the system and get ourselves to go ahead of it. Like, should you launch it with just one episode? Yes, launch it. Who cares? I fight with people all the time. Like, well, when I get 10, 12 episodes, right, then I'll go launch it. That way there's one a month for a year. And I'm like, shut up. How many of us binge watch? How many of us binge listen? Right? If you got to jump in the car and drive for an hour and somebody's got a 15-minute podcast, that's 4 episodes that you're going to go through on your way.
Yeah.
And so I always tell everybody, say, look, it's just about starting it. The first thing you got to do is decide what your topic is. Once you decide what your topic is, figure out a name, right? So I want to find my competition because if it's the topic, because what if there's somebody out there that already has the thoughts of Malaysia, right? You don't want to go out there and go, I'm going to have the second one, right? Rethinking Malaysia, right? We'll do another one. But that's what I'm trying to say, is that you got to find out what your competition is. And again, out in the world today, there's 2 million podcasts that are out there. 2 million. I'm okay with 2 million competitors in the fact that there's 300 plus million people in the US alone, and we aren't limited to the United States.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying is just get out there and figure out, here's my topic, come up with a name. It needs to be something that is easy for you to say.
Okay.
Right? Because if you're ever interviewed anywhere, you want to be able to drop your own podcast instead of saying it's the intricate thinkings of the inner mind and, sewage dwelling. You go, where did this come from? So you want to come up with just that. So I want you thinking bigger than it's just my public diary. Okay. I want you thinking that if you wanted to create impact in the world, what messages would you be leaving? And I'll go back to from Ed Milet's podcast with Rory. He said, you are right perfectly suited to help the previous version of you. So if you don't know what to do. Now, the other day I had a guest on my show and I was talking and I said, oh, you know what I do? I said, I don't read books the way most people read books. And they're like, what? Because he came out with a book. And so I was like, and he was on there to talk about it. I'll grab it just so you can see how Joe rolls. So I have the book. Okay. So it's Asked by Mark Victor and Crystal Dwyer Hansen, right? And I told him, I said, I make cards inside of all my books that say aha moments. Right. And I said, I don't ever defile my book. So as I go through, I put this in and I start reading the book. Now, as I read, I write on the card. Okay. And this will help you later with your podcast as you go through, but I'm leading somewhere. So I will sit down and write this out. And I will put all this stuff, everything that hits me. Okay. I'll even put a page number if I need to make sure I want to go back and see it again. But what happens, and this is the way my brain works, I go, great. If I mark up this book and I grab my highlighter and I'm like, oh yeah, this is so great, so great. And you turn the page, you got highlighters everywhere, you're writing in the margins. Okay. I prefer to go back and read books more than once. So a year from now, I would pick the book back up again and read it. Right. And the only reason I got this is from Think and Grow Rich, is because when you go back to read it again this year, right, all I was doing was reading the highlights again. All I was doing was reading my notes. Okay. And then I stopped and I said, no, boom, got another copy and started reading it. And then I was highlighting that book. And then what I did was I went back and I looked and I said, oh, look, I highlighted the same passages twice. Oh, but I didn't highlight this one last year that I did this year. That proved I've grown because the words didn't change, but I grew to a level to understand the book at a different level. And that's how I keep track. So then I said, I'm not buying it. It gets expensive buying all these books. And I said, these little cards, I can get a whole pack of them for 99 cents, right? So I started putting these out. And so when I go back to read, so when I start to read this book again, I put it down, right, and grab my other card, and I'll sit down and start reading this book, and I'll start jotting it down. Then I can compare the two and see how much I've grown. Okay. This, guys, is also a podcast review of a book. I just sit down and go, look, here's some of the things I learned from the book. Bam, 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 bam. Right. And now I've got a podcast. Do you think anybody is going to be upset that you do a review positively about their book on your podcast? No. You know what they'll do? They'll share it for you. They'll be like, oh, you got to see this. You got to learn it. Right. So when I told the author of this book, I was like, hey, that's how I read it and do whatever. He said, could you please do a little quick 2-minute video holding my book and telling people how to do that, right? And then I'll share it out to all of my audience.
Wow.
And I was like, well, sure. That doesn't hurt me at all. Okay. And what I was almost said was, I have a video on my YouTube channel that says, here's a book reading hack, right? How to hack book reading. And I said I was going to put it on. I was like, but it was Kimberly's book over there. that
Mhm.
sales books. And so I was like, if I go here and send it to him, he'd be like, why do I want to put out somebody else's book
Right.
to my whole entire audience, right? But then I'll go back and I'll reshoot another one that's just me and his book talking about this is how you'll know. Okay. But I want to use that as a potential filler episode that goes through. Okay. Now, the important thing you're going to have to find is I want the most, again, it's me. I want the most economical way to get myself out to the public, okay, with my message. And I said, how do I do that? So I'm going to start sharing screen. Put my microphone right in the middle of the screen. Okay, so we're here. That's here. Okay, good. So I'm on my YouTube channel, but what I'm doing is I'm clicking over here to Anchor, and it got bought by Spotify. Anchor.fm. Okay, so Anchor.fm helps you build your episodes. Okay, and it helps to distribute. It's a distribution platform. And I don't know if Spotify changed pricing, but it was free when I got it. And I still think today it's free. Okay, so if you click over here, mine is out on Spotify and Anchor, and it gives you the links. It takes about 4 days from when you sign up for it to populate out to all of the links that are out there. But if you look, you can find me here on, if you wanted to put this on your website, you can use an RSS feed. You can take this and populate it on your website. So now all of a sudden it's there. So
Okay.
it'd be a little block on your page that people can listen to your actual thing on your page. But I'm on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast. I'm on Overcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Pocket Casts, Radio Public,
wow.
Stitcher, and Podbean. Okay. I didn't go create a separate page for every one of these.
Mhm.
Okay. I was already on it, or as soon as I signed up for Anchor, I got all those. Okay. Now, Anchor comes with a mobile app. So you can legit on the fly record an episode.
Wow.
And that's what I like. And if you look, like I'll come over here to episodes, it'll show you, here's all of the people, how many people played it, and if you ran an ad or not. So if you look on the front, like if you look, there's a hell of a lot of zeros. Every once in a while, I remember to go, oh, let's put an ad on. And so the ad that I put in is for Anchor. So it's actually, so while somebody's listening, I go, hey, do you want your own podcast like this? Are you saying you couldn't do it as amazing as me? I'm going to say, yes, you can, because I'm doing it all through anchor.fm. Go here, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And so all of a sudden that gets you more things to look at. So if you come down and just go through, I can replace episodes. I can do anything I want to do with my episodes. But I want to walk you through something and say, okay, so if you look, it says untitled, because they're all drafts. I haven't actually released them yet. So I can say new episode. It says create an episode or upload from a video or a file you already created. So let's say you had a voice note. Let's say while you were driving down the road, you turned your camera around safely in the hands-free device, right? You shot yourself and came up with something and said something. So like I will tell you, one of these down here somewhere is the my 220 rule. But I was driving down the road one day and I was listening to something and it was going back and forth and I was like, oh man, I got to remember to do a quick episode of the 220 rule. And then what I did was I launched Anchor. It's on my phone. I opened it up. I said, start new episode. It said, what do you want to do? So if I say create a new episode, it says record, edit, or enhance audio. Or for example, when I take my War Games show that I do on Wednesday, I take that and I will upload the whole video to my podcast. So on Spotify, it will play the video as well as offer audio. But it'll strip the video out for every one of those other ones that's there. But if I create an episode, okay, it says, where do you want to record it from? If I'm on my phone, it's only going to be my phone. Okay, but I can pick any of the stuff that I have set up. I'll go to this one because that's this one. I can literally click record now and we can make an episode.
Nice.
Everything you said that goes through my microphone will be there. Now, I went through and I click and I have a library. So the library holds all the episodes I went up there. So this was me taking where Robbie interviewed me here. I took it and I uploaded the hour and 25 minutes into a podcast for people that only want to listen to something instead of watch it on YouTube. So I did that and I put it up there. But I will say that if you look over here, it says, do you want to drag files from your computer? So if I have something that's already saved, I can grab the files from here, the audio or the video, just by browsing and taking it. But I went through and I paid to get an intro done. Okay. Now I paid to get the intro done second season of my podcast. Okay. I'm on the 4th season of my podcast. So, but I did it on the 2nd season. The 1st season was me. I wrote out what I wanted to say, and then I turned on my little microphone on my computer and I did it, and I set it until it sounded clean enough, cut it, and I dropped it into here. So, I mean, I played around with it. Look, I got 5 on it, okay, because I wanted that playing in the background while I was talking. So that was one of the intros I did. I was like, okay, look, here we go.
Thanks for tuning into the Sales Genius. As always, I want to start by saying that I appreciate each and every one of you and your willingness to improve. Sales is only a numbers game if you aren't educated.
So in the background underneath it, very quietly so that it wouldn't get hit for copyright, right, was I got 5 on it, right? So the whole time I'm just bouncing while I do it. So that was how I started. That was what was out there, okay? So it's not going, wow, I'm so impressed with you, Joe, right? That's not what you look at. But I kept going through and played with different things to get to that point. And so
this podcast is for the sales professionals at every level. If you want to convert more prospects into paying customers, then you're in the right place, because Joe has spent the last 3.
So that is a little different than what you heard from before, right? And that is Joey Yak. Okay, I got introduced to Joey Yak from a friend of a friend going through, and he went and did this, and I was like, dang, now that's popping. Okay, that makes you want to listen to it more. So he did an intro and an outro for me. So the intro coming into your show and the outro. What does your outro need to be? Hey, if you found value, click like,
A call to
subscribe.
action.
Yeah.
Call to action.
Yes, get it out there. But most of the time, if you're on a podcast, you can say, like it, leave a review, and, you know, and subscribe to the podcast. But you don't want to remember to say that after every episode. So you make that your outro that you can go in. But as you guys see, it's literally in my library. So all I have to do is click that button, and now it's in the new episode that I'm building. And I go intro, we'll go back to intro with Joey, right? When I go intro, it's 6:20, right? So then I go, no, let's move it up here. Let's move this down, okay? So now my intro starts. Then all I have to do, now I can go and say, do I want to drag a file in? I could literally go back to record and record my podcast right here, okay? You decide, this is the biggest thing with podcasts. Decide your frequency that you're going to use it, or that you're going to upload, and stick to it. People need to know when to look for you. They can't just all of a sudden go, wow, there's been nothing for 3 months, and now here you are. Okay.
Do you
So-
batch shoot?
Yes. Yeah, you can definitely do that. So if you do that, again, and I'll show you because I want to go through. Now, if you wanted to insert an ad, it's down here on the bottom. I always forget that little thing, but I can click it and it'll put it in the beginning.
Okay.
Okay, so then the ad will play in the beginning of the thing. And I recorded my own ad for Anchor. So they said, here's what we want you to cover. And I recorded it because I didn't want it to be someone else's voice on my on my podcast, because that'll sound weird. Like, did we change episodes? Did we go to something else?
Yeah.
So if it's me interjecting with the ad, then it'll play. Okay, so you can hit preview
This podcast.
and it'll start right where the intro. Okay, the ad is an uploaded file that's already on their site, and they keep it and run with it. So at this point in time, I've taken whatever audio it is. Remember, our phones are pretty kick butt right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you have the earbuds in, right, you can go and record your own episode. You can put your phone down on a table and record yourself talking with somebody. And so if you do that, and then you take that audio file from the mobile app, you can launch Anchor, and it will go ahead and say, great, you want to upload this? Look, it's the first thing it comes up to, right? Yes, I'll go local. But if you come here, there's a big plus that says start recording. It defaults to start recording. So that time you go, oh man, I need to, screw it. Boom, hit the button and you can start going. And from here, it says publish in the corner.
Wow.
So there's no reason for you not to be doing this and using it. And even if they charged for it, some of these apps will charge to go to even more places out on the web.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I look at what Anchor gave me, I was like, the second you get on Spotify, what does it matter anymore? Right? You're going to get to Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You've covered the world at that point. And so any place else is just the personal preference of the listener. So I want to be around where I can, but legit, Malaysia and Nick, it's really great to sit at your home if you have one of those little robot devices that's always listening.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like I have the one with the lady's name behind me. There's two of them. But I can legit say play Sales Genius podcast. And then all of a sudden my podcast plays out of those little devices.
Wow.
And so to me, that's impressive.
Do you
Yeah.
drop that at the beginning of yours, knowing that people are playing this?
No.
Okay, didn't know.
Yeah, no.
Didn't know. Okay, all good.
But yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I could just yell right now on everybody who's watching this and say, hey, Google, Alexa, whatever, play Sales Genius podcast. Then you'll hear me in the background. It'll be like two of us. But so again, I don't think anything I've said has been crucially, oh my God, this is so horrible. There's so much work. There's so much work that I can't get that done. Okay. So when I look at that, that's where we look and say, this is the easiest thing to go out and start it. What's the hard part? Coming up with a name, right? To come through, because once you come up with a name, it's going to go out there and it's there. Like I have a War Games group podcast that I put through Anchor 2. I stopped uploading it. I said, this is one of the things that I went through back in the day. The answer was don't use your own name to build a company. And then you look and go, every big old company is someone else's name. What are you talking about? Right? What watch do you want to put on your hand? You want to put on a Rolex? That's a family name. Okay.
Right.
Everything is a family name. So, but I was stuck in that going, what do I want to do? And I was like, well, my company, Ingram Interactive, right? And then you have Sales Genius, BDC Genius, Internet Genius. I have all these little genius platforms that go with it. But my thought was, well, I could sell Sales Genius and walk away.
Yeah.
But I couldn't sell Ingram Interactive because I'm Ingram.
Mm.
And then it was like, write a check, I'll walk away, baby. That's what happened later, right? But I look and I say, Grant Cardone is building with his own name. He's building it. So for me to go and shift everything around, like to go find a War Games episode and only listen to a War Game, you can listen to it on Joe's Sales Genius, right? As soon as Sales Genius becomes synonymous with Joe Ingram, then it is legit my name, right? As it goes in, it's the same thing. So, but to me, I know that Sales Genius tells you what the podcast is about. And I want to reduce the conflict or the need for someone to figure out, should I listen to this or not? And that's why you want to look at it. But and this is clarity you guys are going to have to get to. Once it's about you, do you know what you can put up on your podcast?
Whatever you want.
any damn thing,
Love it.
right? If you look like our mutual buddy Robbie talks about every single thing different on his
Yeah.
shows. He's not tied to I'm only going to talk about this niche. Okay, and that was one of the things that I found from another creator, which was multi-passionate people. That was her term, not mine, right? Mine is ADHD people that got ridiculed. People that can excel in more than one area, it's okay to share it across. Guess what? Your audience will only listen to the episodes that resonate with them. I mean, if you saw on mine, it's like 60 plays, 50 plays is your average that's there. So again, I've gone 4 seasons getting 50 to 60 plays each. I have several of them. You can sort in Anchor and see your best one and what's there. But it's funny because your best one is your first one. It'll always be your best play because the new people that find you listen to the first one.
Joe, with what you do now on the sales side, interviewing entrepreneurs, like, does the sales side hurt you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Right.
Didn't know.
So yeah, no, because again, what is the definition of an entrepreneur? What's the one thing they have to have? Sales.
Okay.
Right. Without sales, you're a wantrepreneur. Right. Someday I will be. Right. But no. And again, I believe, and all I'm going to say, Nick, is that even with Malaysia, we look over and go, Malaysia, you're going to talk about sales? If she says, no, that's not my jam right now, we're like, okay, but could you segue that into an episode?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Right? Could your audience benefit from somebody with sales?
Right.
Okay. You just have to ask yourself that. So again, I prefer on my sales show to bring in other people than just myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the reason I do that is because I believe people become parent deaf. And so if I'm training my 300 plus people that are in the group, right? If I train them, then they're going to be like Joe again. So then I bring in somebody else. But for example, the last guest with the book, this one here, right? He's sold 500 million books, but nobody goes, you're amazing at sales. That's not what he's known for, right? You're a writer.
He's a writer.
Right.
Exactly.
He's a writer. And so he came on, but he was like, you got to write, you got to do this, got to do that. And so again, I believe it benefited because if I'm going to share a success with people, it doesn't have to be my success. Sharing that success will allow them to get a bigger picture of everything that's out there, because all I want you to do is get better. The whole reason I put it out there is for impact. I want impact, right? That's what I'm looking for. So pick your topic, look at the competition that's out there so you can pick a name that's unique to you and your podcast and then put it out there. Now, Nick, you had a great stat the other night with there's only certain
21
amount of episodes.
21, right? So 90% of podcasts fail between don't get to episode 21. So if you just get to episode 21, and that was another creator too, that wasn't me. That was just, hey, looking over the course of podcasts and starting one, you get to episode 21, you're in the top 10%. And I'm sure I wasn't the only one that heard that, right? So we're not the only ones doing this right now, but the quicker you get there, now it's out there and you have whatever, your first 10, 15, 20, 30 episodes, light years ahead of those people.
Get to your 30th episode and celebrate.
Right.
So I never knew that until when Nick said it the other night. And I was like, and I'm at like episode 116. I'll take that as a win, right? It'll be a win. Do I have millions of people listening to it? No. But when somebody finds me, can they go back 116 episodes to find what they want?
Yeah.
They can. And so
it's there forever. Like the cool part is it's there forever, right? So you can go back and listen to Joe Ingram episode 1, where you're like, hey, here's my intro, and I'm sure in your head you're like, this was very okay on the positive side of it, right? And you're like, wow, I've grown a bunch since then, but it was out there, right? The fact that you put it out there, it was out there. So
yes. Well, again, my answer is legacy and generation, right? I know
Yeah.
great grandkids will be able to listen to me talking.
Mhm.
They'll be able to look at a video and go, hey, that's my great grandpa. Where there isn't that. Now I'm sure they're gonna be like, it's totally not even a hologram. How ghetto. But it's gonna be the same way we look at black and white photos that somebody saved in a box.
Yeah.
It didn't get eaten away. But I would say put your stuff out there, let your audience find you. Okay. But you have already built an audience. You've already got, I mean, there's hundreds of people watching Nick work out at night, right? On live streams. So if he had his little podcast name up there, they can come back. Now it's just him grunting and moaning because he's working out. But you know, sometimes that's podcast. But so
And Joe, I was going to ask a question about that, about basically the backup of the files. So everything is on Anchor, but if for some reason, if Anchor went away, do you also have them backed up in another setting or venue so that you all have access?
everything I have is in Google Drive. So once you upload, like for example, most of mine is done on a different program than Anchor. And
Okay.
I'm stripping the audio away. So I do a live stream show every Wednesday for sales.
Mhm.
So I take that show from the live streamer. When it's done, it says, do you want to download audio or download video?
Mm.
Okay, so then I'll go download video and then I'll go put it in my Google Drive so I have a master copy.
Okay.
I also have a YouTube channel that I don't promote, that all of the stuff goes there live, right? So that I have an archive
Okay.
of the YouTube stuff that's there. So
That's awesome.
so that way, because so again, like I go live on 3 YouTube channels with the live stream. And so it's 3 YouTube channels, LinkedIn, Facebook. I can go to multiple pages on Facebook, my page, group pages that I have. All of that I can do.
That's all StreamYard, yes.
Yes, that's
Okay.
StreamYard.
Yes, and that's at ingraminteractive.com/. Yeah, but you can go to join StreamYard for
Yay.
that too. But
Join StreamYard.com. Everybody,
.com.
join StreamYard.com.
yes, it's a great one. It's very similar to Restream or something else, but like Zoom that we're using now, Zoom is one destination from here. So I could be live on YouTube or I could be live on Facebook. But I couldn't be live at all of them at the same time and get comments from all of them. So the join StreamYard, that will get you to that point of seeing all of that stuff. Okay.
That was my very first LinkedIn live stream was a show on StreamYard because I was trying to figure out like, hey, can you guys hear me? Can you see me? It was a good time. It's a good time.
Yes. Yeah, when I'm done with this, Bill and I will be reviewing his ability to use StreamYard.
Nice. Okay.
So,
Let's go, Bill.
He
Let's
texted
go,
me
Bill.
and said, he's like, I need to get live streaming again. Can we practice with StreamYard again? And like, sure. So, and I have multiple cameras in my office. So I can flip one of them at the screen to show him what I'm doing. So
Love
he
it.
can do it live on his side. But
Cool. Joe, do you use Swanky microphone? Do you have a setup or anything crazy, or is it just go?
Mhm.
So my laptop
Question.
is a Razer. Razer is a gaming one.
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
game. Okay. I don't game, but I needed a lot of memory and the speed. Okay. So if you have a decent laptop, okay, I just went with the high-end Razer microphone. Right?
Mhm.
Oh, you went away.
I think I just unplugged it at the same time.
Okay.
Let's change cameras. Let's see. I'm trying to see which camera I have plugged in.
Nice photo.
It's a great picture, Joe. It's a great
Yeah,
picture.
Very nice.
Thanks.
I'd buy it.
Woo, there's one video camera.
There
Yeah.
you go.
So I have it. So if I want to write on the show, I can back
nice.
up and do this.
Nice.
So, all right, let's see. Let's go back to this one. There you go. So this is one of those cameras. I like this one. It's not as granular and HD as I would prefer, but it sits literally in the middle of my screen.
Got it. That way you don't have to look up here or over here or
So,
wherever
yeah,
it
so
is.
that's why, like, I had you guys over on the side, so I realize I keep looking over, but if I wanted to, I can move the camera over and I can go, okay, now this is in the middle between the two of you. If I grab in my Zoom thing and flip us around on my side, then I can make sure that it's right in between, so I'm staring at you guys, but it looks like, oh wow, he's looking at you instead of doing the whole.
Right.
Yeah. So this one is Center Cam HD. So if you went there, you can buy Center Cam. But I do have. So what I did was I didn't want to fight with whether stuff works or not. So that's why I went with the Razer being that they want you to Twitch and stream and do all that, have really high quality products. And so I put that in. So I have a Razer HD camera. That's the one that's pointed down on the board that I use. But if I come back, I think it's this one. Woo, look at this. I'm upside down. But do you see the quality difference on that one versus
Yes.
that you look and go, okay, the one that's straight on?
Yeah.
So that's a way high quality camera.
Okay.
Got it.
So, but it is this big.
Right. Okay.
So it's like this big. So when I put it in front of my screen to try to keep me here, then I have to do this while I'm talking to people.
Right.
And I'm like, who is it? What are they saying? But so one of the things, again, I would recommend if you're going to do a live show, put it out, take the audio, put it on your podcast. Okay?
Right.
Share links in the podcast notes. That's going to put it in there, but always pick something that looks halfway decent behind you.
Right.
There we go.
Yeah, have background.
Yes. So that, like, that TV up there used to play. I have video looping, and it's like War Games episodes and stuff. And one of my clients that I work with said, can I just tell you, that TV up in the back is really distracting. And I was like, okay, turn it off. Let's go. But you put your stuff out, put it up, set up something that's there. I used to, my office on the other side, whenever I went someplace else to go do work, right? I was like, okay, well, I need to put in a background so I could literally change it to my old office.
Love it.
Oh, look, I'm sitting in my old office now to do that. But that's why I made this office look halfway decent so I can actually do it in the office. That's here. But
gold.
Okay.
No, that's awesome.
So that's what I want to do. Just get out there, go find it, put it together. Look at that. She went outside. Yeah. So,
Ta-da.
and so the backdrops always work best with a green screen. If you have a green screen, so that way you don't disappear as often.
Okay.
Kind of deal. Or it's the second you start projecting, when you pick up your phone to say, here, look, your phone disappears.
Now you can't. Right. Now it's like, hey guys, check it out. And it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
The phone goes away. But they sell on Amazon. There's these pull-up ones that sit behind you.
Yep.
Like looks like it would be for a trade show where you pull up the little banner thing that's out front to tell you to turn this way, but you just pull it up from behind you and you only need to go that section and it'll put it together. But ideally, put enough audio together, download the app, put up an episode. I've had several coaching clients go, I think I want to do this. And I'm like, great, download the app. Okay, great.
Do it. Cool. Do it now.
Now press the record button.
Done.
And they're like, what? I'm like, tell me whatever you're thinking about right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
And they put it up there. But it can be personal. It can be about business. It can be other things that you want to share with people because what they like is you.
Okay.
And so that's what you want to do. And so even in the mobile app, you can pull your library. So I can pull the Joey Yak intro because it still has access to it.
Nice. Okay.
So it's not like you're like, oh, well, now it's horrible because I'm there. And they have sound effects. They have interlude, interim. So if you wanted to say, I stepped away for a few minutes and you want to do that, you can. Like fade outs into compute commercials or back and forth. So, but anything you want to put in all the time. And interlude, you can make your own interlude, which is you talking about a product or service. that you have, right? So then all you're doing, remember, it's drag and drop. Fill it in, hit the button, and within 24 hours of you pressing the button, it's at all 8 of those locations.
Joe, do we get a preview of the 220 rule? I wrote it down with a question mark next to it, or is
Oh,
that next week's
absolutely.
episode?
Yeah, no, it's funny because the one that's on my podcast was literally me driving down the road, and my car was very loud. So it's really crappy audio because I didn't use Bluetooth. I was like, and you got it, yeah, and you got to do that. But so you got exhaust roar and Joe yelling into a phone. Okay, 220 rule for you. Okay, it takes 2 seconds for any human being to go animal. Okay, the fight or flight that pops up. So if you think about this, you have an argument with somebody. Okay, it takes 2 seconds for adrenaline to spike, right, into your bloodstream to affect your brain. So 2 seconds, you've gone animal. It means logic no longer exists. You can't use logic as anything for this individual that's in front of you. I'm really good at handling upset clients. Okay, so I ran the largest Chrysler Dodge Jeep store in the nation. Okay, we deal with some heat. If you've got 1,000 transactions happening a month, right, in vehicle sales, somebody's pissed off about something or what somebody said or did, whatever. So to me, everybody was like, dude, I don't understand it. Why are all these people hugging you when they leave? It's a high five and it's like they all grin and they walk out. And I laugh. I'm like, 220. And they're like, what? I'm like, you guys pissed them off. 2 seconds, they went animal. I want a whole brand new car. I want a free wrap with my business all over the side of the car for $5,000. You owe that for me because it took 10 minutes longer than I thought it would for this. You're like, $5,000, 10 minutes? Who are you? Right? But it takes 20 minutes. That's where the 20 comes in. 20 minutes for that adrenaline to get reabsorbed into your body and dissipate from the brain. So you can't be logical for 20 minutes. Okay? Have you ever had a fight with somebody and then all of a sudden they come back to you and go, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean what I said?
Mm-hmm.
They legit didn't mean what they said. The answer was attack you. The answer was attack you. It was animal. I'm going to do that. All I wanted to do was hurt you at that point in time. That's not my normal state of being. But if you pay attention, it's pretty much around 20 minutes after their last outburst. And that's the caveat from the last time they spiked.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm sitting there talking to you and all of a sudden you go, and then this son of a bitch does that, right? And starts going at me, right? They start all over again. So when I sit with you across the desk and I'm sitting there, I just look into the corner of my computer and come back. What did I look for? The time, because I'm going to start the clock again. And I know you got 20 minutes before you can be rational. And I say, okay, so we were late by 10 minutes. I got it. I don't see that means I should spend $5,000 rewrapping your whole entire car to a different color or whatever it is. And then you nod because look, you're both logical. You're like, you're right. That doesn't make any sense. You can now understand that. If you're in the heat of an argument with somebody, if somebody has gone animal, you look and go, seriously, don't be dumb. 2 + 2 is 4. And they're like, I ain't falling for your new age math crap, right? Because they can't do math at that point. So the 220 means 2 seconds to go animal, 20 minutes to become human. Don't do anything during the 20 minutes to spike the 2 seconds again. Okay. And then you can have a logical conversation after that. So my team started learning. They were like, this is impressive because it's always about 30 minutes after they walk into Joe's office, then they all start hugging and walking away. And I'm like, I know, because we only had 10 minutes of real conversation because they're there. But I let them vent. I let them talk. I talk soothing voice, coming back, explain how this isn't normal operations. And we go through and try to divert the subject from that situation.
Love it.
Get them talking about something else.
Right. Gold.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other
I had
questions?
it down. Had it down with a question mark. No, I don't have any.
Okay.
Well,
Any
anything?
questions, Malaysia? What are you gonna do?
No, that was really helpful.
And so when will we have the first episode published from both of you?
By next week, I already ordered my my microphone.
Monday.
Malaysia, this works too.
Oh,
Monday. Episode one will be out by Monday.
I ain't gotta wait.
But I need my intro and outro. Where do I get those?
Intro and outro is you write
From you. You get it from you.
Did you hear the first one?
I did.
I wrote a script and I sat here in front of my computer and it was before I had the microphone. I just leaned up to my laptop and was like, "Hi, I'm Joe Ingram. Sales is..." Yeah, it was nothing fancy. And so,
Okay.
but if you go to Sales Genius Podcast and go to the very beginning ones, you're gonna say, "That's kind of rough." Okay, literally for both of you to understand, I was in my garage. I had a desk set up in my garage. And that's where I did it. So there's echo, there's all kinds of stuff going on in there because it was literally, I was like, look, I'm Bezos and everybody else. I started in the garage.
Every amazing thing starts in a garage, Joe.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
I love
that
it.
was my first office. I was like, there you go. Now I go pay rent. Yeah.
Joe, thank you. This was great, man.
My
For real.
pleasure.
Thank you very
Go
much.
get it done. Go get it done. Then we can
Absolutely.
do other stuff, right?
Exactly.
Be good. Appreciate you both.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.